On today's episode of Wrong Side, we have a new Grand Slam winner on the PGA Tour as Rory goes up and down and wins the Masters this weekend in Augusta. The NBA playoffs are set as one young icon faces a team out west. Nico IamLeaving is leaving Tennessee, a big college football scandal slash story that will be dove into heavy on what the ramifications will be for the future of college sports. Clutch Moment of the Week, sponsored by Shore Metals and Outside the Line. In a world full of champions, we find ourselves on the wrong side.
Happy Wrong Side Wednesday. Today is April 16th. Spring is in the air in Chicago, and that means golf is back. A fantastic Masters tournament over the weekend. Rory McIlroy finally gets the job done, takes home the green jacket and the career Grand Slam as the sixth golfer of all time. I was locked in on Sunday, had one of the best Sunday golf naps maybe of my life after a very well-spent birthday weekend, but a historic Masters, probably the biggest one since 2019 when Tiger came back. Michael, how much golf did you watch? What'd you think? Rory, he does it in the most painful way possible again. A great tournament, I thought, but what were your first takeaways?
Yeah, great weekend of golf. Thursday, didn't watch much, was in the office, so just kind of was checking just the leaderboard from there. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, though, watched almost all of the coverage, I would say, all day. Just sat outside, did some work outside. When I was hanging out with my dad, we watched. Saturday, we hung out, had some sandwiches, like nice Saturday Masters moving day. And Sunday was certainly something. We watched the whole thing. We didn't get up early for the people that were teeing off at like 6:50 a.m. our time. But other than that, we watched a lot of golf. Realistically, no nap. I don't know the last time I haven't napped on the Masters Sunday. I feel like those are like death and taxes, the Masters nap, but didn't nap. Truly was an amazing day of golf. Some great shots, some bad shots, some okay shots, some collapses, some redemption. I basically had it all. I think saying it was like 2019 was a perfect comp. Felt like for about an hour or two on Sunday that nobody wanted to win the way everybody was playing.
Yeah.
But a lot of great golf. What's crazy is I felt like all weekend I just kept saying that Scotty, for example, wasn't even playing that well and his golf didn't even look that good. Ended up in fourth place. So like someone that great was right there. Ludwig Aberg, he had a great weekend. Collapses on the last two holes. I saw he missed out on like 1.2 million, I think, from just those last two holes of just a collapse. Captain America, they call him, Patrick Reed, had a huge eagle on Sunday to shoot him up. And Rory beat his toughest opponent, the guy in the mirror. And it was truly incredible. I was rooting for him. The stat they showed of like how long it took to get the Grand Slam, like after they like had the third one, everyone had like one. I think someone had 5 events. He had 11 times to try to get it, which was kind of crazy. I think it was his 17th Masters he was there for, and finally gets the job done, gets the golden jacket. I was thinking about because I saw Adam Sandler today. Congratulate him. Gets the green jacket. And it was an amazing day of golf.
Yeah. I go back and forth with Rory. I'm not necessarily a hater where I don't want to see him win, but there's just something about a Rory McIlroy collapse on a Sunday afternoon that just really gets me going. So going into it, a couple of my friends were on Rory this weekend. I'm not a big golf bettor anyways, but every time Rory's leading, I just get that little Grinch smile like it's going to happen again. It's going to happen again. First hole on Sunday, double bogey. Double bogeys again, ends his final round, 6 birdies, 3 bogeys, 2 doubles, first and only Masters champion to win while recording 4 double bogeys throughout the week. So like you said, he beat his toughest opponent, which is the guy in the mirror himself. When it came to that playoff, you saw Rose warming up the final few holes that Rory was still playing. And I'm like, he knows. And I think everyone in the area, I saw Scott Van Pelt say it on Pardon My Take earlier today. Everyone watching kind of expected him to miss that final putt because he had the chance to win it in regulation. I was shocked that he was able to come back from that. I mean, he was coming back and forth from himself all day long. But to blow it with a chance to win it. I'm shocked that he was able to come back in the playoff and hit one of, everyone's been saying it all week, shot of his life, one of the maybe the best golf shots in the history of the sport to get to the career Grand Slam, the tap in at the end. Imagine if Rose made that putt to really put the pressure on him. I don't know what would have happened, but Rory gets the job done. There was a lot to keep track of. Like you said, Aberg lost. Like, I've seen a lot of different reports on what the money ended up being, so I don't know exactly what it was. It was hundreds of thousands of dollars just on that triple bogey on 18 alone. Scotty, ends up in fourth. A lot of people to miss the cut. A lot of big names there. Dustin Johnson, Phil Mickelson, Sergio Garcia, Brooks Koepka, Cam Smith, Will Zalatoris all missed the cut. And then you had my favorite story of the weekend, the marker. Are you familiar with the marker at Augusta?
I heard about it. I heard about it briefly today on Pardon My Take as well.
Same. That was my introduction to it. So after Friday, after the cut, when it goes down to the smaller field for the weekend, if there's an odd number of players, one seemingly random player from Augusta is paired up with them to play with a professional golfer throughout the weekend of the Masters. They don't record their score. They basically are there to keep the pace of the game, stay out of the way. They don't even have to finish putting in all the holes if the pro doesn't want them to. But Michael McDermott, he is the head of some financial firm. He was the member of the year, or I don't know how long the stints go, but he was able to play with a couple guys throughout the weekend, and both shot really, really well. And then I read into it a little bit more, and previously it was a gentleman by the name of Jeff Knox, who was the marker at Augusta, and he even beat Rory in a round, and Rory was not too happy about that. Knox also had been known to beat other PGA players in that spot, so obviously, you got to be one heck of a golfer to get a membership at Augusta, but what a weekend. Overall, I mean, you had drama, you had success, you had failure. Bryson kind of disappointing on Sunday, but he did well earlier in the week, and everyone was trying to give it away at the end. So it had everything that you could possibly want out of the first major of the year, and it was a great watch.
Yeah, I think I did not know that about the older marker. That's pretty cool that a marker beat Rory. And now we're talking about Rory winning. Yeah, it felt like it just wasn't going to happen. I mean, he won and lost the Masters. I felt like 3 or 4 times on Sunday.
Oh yeah.
And on 12, I felt he won it. And then on 14, I thought he lost it. And then on 15, he has that shot that just like draws onto the course, which was phenomenal. And then he misses on 18, and then he comes back and he plays the same exact hole, and he makes a better shot on 2 instead of clubbing up. Maybe he didn't even club up. He used the same wedge. He went for it again. It worked. So, I mean, it was incredible. That was true grit, determination. I know that's something he's been working on a lot over the last year. He kept talking about it every interview, it felt like. They said, I've been talking to Jack a lot. I've been talking to Jack this, Jack that. We had dinner together. We had lunch together, getting our mentals right, how to get better, how to get worse, how to do the right things. Very interesting to see that. I think golf, when you're loyal to the game, I think people give back to the game. I think you have someone like Tiger, for example, who probably didn't give a shit about anybody up until maybe about 2015, 2016. And then he kind of entered that like vet status where he wanted to help out. He was happy other people helped out, high-fiving people, talking more. Even this weekend, you could see Rory was locked in. Bryson said, I didn't talk to him. He didn't want to talk to me. He was locked in. So you see that maybe this puts Rory in a better move moving forward. But my prediction now moving forward is I truly believe Rory's going to go on like a really good tear. I truly believe he just won the Players, right? That was the one he won a couple weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
So he won that. He won the Masters. The Grand Slam's over. He's won a major. The monkey's off his back. I think he's going to play some really good golf. I was bummed out for Shane Lowry because that Full Swing episode this season was really good, I thought, of them together and their friendship and how they grew up together. And Shane was one of the first guys there to hug him, even though Shane had a terrible Sunday. I think he was +8 on Sunday. I think he finished like +3. But other than that, Justin Rose felt for him too. Second place again there. He said it. It was kind of like, I've been here before and I've lost in the playoff before. Second playoff loss, not just second, but second playoff loss at Augusta was crazy. But incredible weekend of golf. Rory, victorious finally. It was kind of funny. I was saying that I wanted to root for him, but I couldn't root for all the choking. I was getting irritated with all the putts he was missing. I wanted to stop rooting for him, but I was happy he won. Great weekend of golf. Great for the PGA versus Live conversation. I know that was at the end basically with him versus Bryson, but awesome weekend of golf. Happy for Rory, and we'll see what he serves next year.
Yeah, that was one of the funniest memes. Is a bad Irish meal for the Masters. The PGA versus Live thing. Just you got to feel for Rory. And again, like we're witnessing history. One of 6 golfers ever to get the career Grand Slam. To be as outspoken as he was and kind of take on that additional burden of being the face of the league. I talked about it a couple weeks ago. Rory was the face of the PGA, and then they went behind closed doors and made a deal and essentially hung him out to dry. When they made the merger with Liv, he's been battling this for 11 years and has had to put on a brave face every major, every year. Oh, like my time will come. My time will come. So whether I was laughing at all the choking, I enjoy watching that. But love him or hate him, you still watch. He still did it. Greatness has happened. Rory is a champion. And I hit the driving range earlier today. And thank God for all of us, myself included, that I was not playing Augusta this weekend. Because, man, would that have been a sight to see. But happy golf season is back. And Rory, greatness.
Yeah, Rory, greatness. I saw a lot of memes of like the 18th hole, like what would a regular person do? It's like shank one, kill someone, like hit someone in the head. Just like you got to have some. I think the playoff hole being on the same exact hole you just missed and making that putt just shows his growth as a player, shows his growth mentally. But yeah, incredible weekend of golf. Definitely, like every year I watch it, I just think like the Masters. I know how the tickets work, and it's like a very tough lottery and all that kind of stuff. But Masters would be a pretty cool one to go to. Would be a pretty cool event just as a spectator. I was reading Wrong Sider Jake Marsh. I was reading his post he posted today of his notepad he brought in, and like minute by minute, because obviously you can just wear the watch, you can't bring your phone, or can't even bring like an Apple Watch. So you bring like a old school, not old school, but like a regular watch, and you bring a digital camera. And I was reading it, and you saw like all the things and like the strategy of like you get the gear first and you put your chair down. And from everything I read from his report, from other people's reports, it seems like it's a very honorable course where like you put your chair down and like people just respect that that's your spot. Kind of crazy. I know there's like no walking and all that stuff, or no running. Like there's a lot of like rules on the course, but I did not know that people were just like, so yeah, go ahead, like go to your seats. Like we'll honor those 2 chairs. But awesome weekend. Would love to go. Would love to go order off the menu. I saw some incredible videos of people buying shit in the store. My mom showed me one that was like, how much did you buy? They were interviewing patrons for coming out of the store, and they were like, how much did you spend? And it was like a guy walked out. He's like, I can't say because I think my wife is watching. Another person said like, I spent $5,000. Don't tell my wife. Another one was like, I spent $10,000 for our whole neighborhood. Like just a bunch of stuff. So very cool, very exciting. Great weekend of golf.
Yeah, 100%. I know you're not much of a golfer, but golf is definitely in the air in Chicago. I tried to take advantage of those few February and March warm days and hit the range, but trying to get back to it this year now that I'm going to be out in the burbs. Congrats, Rory, again. Now we'll shift it over to Michael's favorite time of year and one of my favorite times of year.
I don't know what's my favorite.
NBA playoffs. The stage is set. Death, taxes, Bulls, Heat in the play-in game this Wednesday night. So the day this episode comes out, a lot of good matchups to look at. We got Golden State in the play-in. We got the Lakers matched up against Minnesota. I'll let Mr. Laker over here start where we want us to go, but there's a lot to dive into for this playoff.
Yeah, a lot of good matchups. Tone Deaf, I don't know if I'll use it later on, but Tone Deaf might be the NBA scheduling. All the games on Sunday while the Masters was going on. Meanwhile, while Rory was going up to 18, Clippers, Golden State were in a overtime battle for a really important game. Winner got a playoff spot, whether Warriors were 6th or Clippers 5th. Loser was sent to the play-in. So very, very exciting game that I had to put on my laptop while I was watching the Masters in the kitchen. But exciting weekend of basketball. The bracket is set. Like you said, death, taxes, Bulls, Heat in the play-in. I think it's going to be a really exciting playoff. The Western Conference is very good. I think the Eastern Conference has their top teams. I think it's a bit of a drop off, in my opinion. My early predictions, I think the Warriors are going to win the 7-8 game. I think the Hawks are going to win the 7-8 game in the East, and I think the Grizzlies are going to win the 9-10, and I think the Magic are going to win the 9-10. I think
What?
I don't know. I don't think the Bulls will win.
Did you not watch those Bulls-Lakers games over the last month?
I watched him. But I think both teams are. I think it's going to be the two teams in the 7-8 game in both conferences that make it. But a lot of fun basketball to be played. Saturday night, Lakers T-Wolves. That'll be the first game of the Lakers series. But a lot of fun stuff. I think we should start in the Western Conference before we get into the Eastern Conference, because you can do more of the East. I can do more of the West if you would like. But Western Conference, Thunder. I think they're going to play. I think they're going to play the Grizz. I think the Grizzlies are going to win. I'm sorry, I misspoke. I think the Grizzlies are going to win 7-8, and I think the Warriors are going to win.
Okay.
The winner versus loser game. And so Thunder are going to play the Warriors, Rockets, Grizzlies, Nuggets, Clips, Lakers, T-Wolves. Warriors, fun fact, 0-3 all time in the play-in. So never have won a play-in game. So I think they're going to lose another, but then win the game against the rest of the Western Conference. But Thunder Warriors, exciting series, young versus vets. The Thunder are a good team, but can never count out Steph. I know Jake Sharber likes to make fun that the Thunder are professional t-shirt wearers, and so does part of my take in the playoffs. So it will be a good series. I really don't know. I think the Warriors are a good team. I saw their Jimmy has to take the next step. I don't know what's going on there. He's played better as of late, but a lot of his points I saw, I think about 30 to 40% of his points as a Warrior have been at the free throw line. Kind of interesting to see that, especially then. The last game against LA, he did have 30 points. I don't know if it was 30 or that was the exact number, but around 30 points, the most he scored as a Warrior. But fun fact of that game, Kawhi Leonard is 9-0 against Jimmy Butler in their last 9 matchups. So random fun fact I saw on Twitter. But Thunder Warrior, don't know who will really win that. I think the Thunder will, but very fun matchup. Nuggets Clippers. Want to get your thoughts? I think this is a really, really fascinating series. I think it's going to be a really good series. Clippers, very underrated team. No one's really talked about them much. I don't like talking about them, obviously, being the little brother across town. But what are your thoughts on this new series? Can Denver pull it out? Where do you think they go?
That was one I definitely had highlighted. Denver, Jokic is obviously playing great. He's still top 2 player in the world, if that.
Triple-double this year.
Triple-double this year. Don't disrespect my GOAT, Russell Westbrook. He did it 4 times. Jokic, Denver going to be without their coach. A lot of stuff going on. Jokic doesn't seem to be a guy to get fazed by outside noise, but Mike Malone's been there before. He's been able to battle through 7-game series. He's led the ship very well the last few years. Obviously, his departure is still a little surprising to everybody, but Denver's going to be without their head coach. Is Kawhi going to be healthy? On paper, the Clippers have been playing good ball. Kawhi has looked great when he's been on the court this year. James Harden in the playoffs, it sends a shiver down my spine yet again. But the Clippers have always been a well-constructed team. Their issue has been health. So they've been able to push some series in the playoffs the last couple of years. I think smart money says you got to give it to Denver. They've done it at a higher level over the last couple of years. But that's definitely one I had circled on the calendar. I don't know how exactly the Clippers will guard Jokic or how Denver will be able to guard James Harden. He's still a matchup problem. They have a lot of wings, a lot of good defenders. So between Harden and Kawhi, I feel that they should be able to guard them. But then you got some of their role players on the Clippers who have erupted in the playoffs in the past. So a lot of those guys have been there before too. So it's 2 seasoned teams full of veterans that have shown that they can do it. So I think my money's got to go to Denver on that one, though.
Yeah, a lot of Hall of Famers in this series. A lot of great players. I think Zubac has been fantastic for the Clippers this year. I saw he's like top 5 defensive player of the year odds. He's been great. Every game I feel like he's getting 10, 15 rebounds a game. I think him and James Harden can run the pick and roll every time. Will be interesting to see how much of a usage of JJ Redick's defense on Denver the last time they played. They use, obviously,
Yeah.
Lakers, for example, are smaller in size against them, and Jackson Hayes is nothing special. He's great for what they need him to be, but obviously not a top center. But it should be interesting to see how Clippers play defense, how they score. I know Jamal Murray's a little banged up as well, so it should be interesting to see how he hangs in the playoff series. I think another big thing about the Clippers winning that game against Golden State, 7 days of pure break for Kawhi. No basketball, nothing.
Yeah.
A fresh day. There was no chance of playing games where they maybe had to win one, or if they lost, they would have played 2 games for the playoffs. He's going to be fresh, full week off. He played a lot of games down the stretch. Should be interesting to see. But I would also agree. I think the Nuggets can win this series as well. But we'll see. I don't really know if the Clippers have it in them, personally, based on experience. Rockets, Grizzlies, the second to last matchup of the playoffs in the West. Should be interesting. A lot of young stars. Ja, we'll see what he's got on the celebratory docket for the playoffs. Should be interesting. But I think the Rockets are going to win this series. I think Ime is a great coach. Young team. They play great defense. Jalen Green has really, really, really shown out this year. I thought he played great for them. Obviously, they have Dylan Brooks, who plays defense and gets in people's way. You have Sengun, who plays well at the center position, power forward position. And you have Fred VanVleet. They're a good team. I think they play well together. I think they're going to beat the Grizzlies. I don't know how many games, but I think that will be the outcome.
Yeah, Rockets. I'm excited to see how they show out in the playoffs. They're similar to what the Thunder were last year. Everyone's saying they're too young. They're a great team. I think they held the 1 seed in the West for a period of time as well. And the Thunder have obviously been fantastic, so that's been very hard to do. But with Ime at the helm, Fred VanVleet's also been in the playoffs before. I'm excited to see the Rockets, especially once you get into that second round. I think Ja is also very exciting. He's kind of, in my mind, the last couple of years, been kind of the Trae Young of the West. Trae Young has definitely caused some problems for the Knicks and some other teams. Not obviously push the Sixers for sure. Not necessarily gone to, I think Trae Young may have an Eastern Conference Finals appearance.
He does,
but
yeah.
Ja does not, but him and the Grizzlies have been the thorn in people's side in the West. So with how young the Thunder are, or not the Thunder, the Rockets are, you could see that potentially becoming an issue. But I'm hoping the Rockets rise to the occasion. I would love to see a young team. Also, OKC, I know everyone thinks they're cringy. A lot of people like to hate on them. With following them for years, really, all the way since the Russell Westbrook days. They've been a trendy team to follow ever since then. But with how many picks they have, with how things have panned out, with getting SGA via a trade, those are teams and organizations that I personally want to root for. So I am kind of rooting for the young teams out West. They are the 1 and 2 seeds this year, so I'm not trying to front run over here, but should be interesting.
Yeah, it should be a good series. A lot of good basketball. And obviously, the headline matchup, in my opinion, on the Western Conference in the first round, Lakers versus the T-Wolves. It's going to be fun. Going to be very, very fun. I'm excited for it. It's going to be awesome. Luka took it to Minnesota last year on the Mavericks. Now he gets to join forces with one of arguably the best playoff player of all time. Gets LeBron, gets AR. It will be a mismatch a little on a couple of defensive possessions, but I don't think that's as big of an issue. I think Minnesota has kind of dipped the last month. They haven't played their best basketball. We'll see. I know a lot of people are buying stock in Minnesota. Obviously, Anthony Edwards, one of the youngest stars in the league, playing great. It's going to be a good battle. Julius Randle, ex-Laker, will be in the series. Jared Vanderbilt, ex-T-Wolf, will be in the series. So a lot of crossover between two teams. Should be interesting. I know JJ gets a full week. LeBron and Luka and AR, they got a full week. Shout out Bronny for a start. Only 6 points, but he got a start this year. But should be a great series. I don't think it's going to be easy. I don't think the T-Wolves are going to mess around. I think it'll be a game 6, maybe 7 this round. Should be interesting to see. I still have the Lakers coming out on top, bearing any crazy injuries, but I'm excited for Lakers postseason basketball.
Yeah, 100%. I agree. This should be a 6 or 7 game series. Minnesota is on a 3-game winning streak right now. They're top 10 in both offense and defense, respectively. These two teams haven't really played each other since the Luka trade. So obviously a great series with Minnesota and Dallas last year. So they have film on Luka. Obviously people have film on the Timberwolves, but it'll be a new iteration of this matchup that we haven't yet seen. My questions for you: who is starting guarding Anthony Edwards, and are you concerned with the size that Minnesota brings on the inside?
I will say, if this was Minnesota of old, I'd be much more nervous with Cat and Gobert. Just Gobert has me less worried, in my opinion, than with two bigs. I think two bigs would be very tough for the Lakers to defend. I think that's why Memphis, for example, they have two bigs at times. They play very well together. I think teams can get two bigs on the court at the same time, make it very tough for the Lakers, and I've seen it in regular season games. I think the starters are probably going to be AR, LeBron, Luka, Hayes, and Rui. I think Rui seems to be the guy that's always going to be put on the shoulders of who he can guard / how he performs offensively. He's always the guy that is the question mark, which Rui shows up. He had a phenomenal playoffs last year, I felt like, and the whole series against Denver, obviously that felt with like two buzzer beaters, a third, every game I think was 4-1, but the whole series was close. But Rui played well, and that was the question mark. So Rui will have to step up. Obviously, Luka will have to get. I think Luka's been much, much better defensively since he's been a Laker. I think they've really
he's bought in. I agree.
Him,
yep.
that he's bought in a little more. But Luka will have to be there. He is a liability at times. He will have to step up. I think the matchup will come down to. I think it's Jarrett McDaniels or Jalen McDaniels from Minnesota. McDaniels is his last name. So
why is that like mind flooded me?
McDaniels is the player on Minnesota who is a very good defender. I don't know who he'll be on, whether it's Luka, Jaden.
Okay.
Jaden McDaniels. He'll either be on Luka or I think on AR, maybe Rui at times, but they're going to have to play their best. I think Hayes is going to have to compete with Rudy Gobert, find a way to block him out, find a way to box him out. Gobert blocks a lot of shots. We're going to have to see. I hope this team is able to go on a little run. I think they have it in them. I think JJ is ready. I think he's ready for the playoffs. I think Luka is ready to prove a lot of people wrong. I think that Austin Reeves, in my opinion, biased, but I think he's the best number 3 option in the league. He's played consistently at this level. He put all the Bradley Beal over Luka or over AR talks to bed this year, I thought. Should be the most improved player, but going to be a good series. I think Lakers in 6.
You didn't mention Julius Randle once. Is he out?
I said Julius Randle, ex-Laker returns.
But that they're basically running 2 bigs at that point. I think Julius Randle, like unlike Cat was hesitant.
But Julius Randle also
more of a shooter.
So does Julius Randle. Julius Randle
he can play some
bully
ball
than you think.
Remember what Kobe said? Remember what Kobe said? That one quote. That's why Julius Randle is still getting paid in the NBA, because Kobe said he's grown-ass man. We'll see what Julius Randle is. I think he definitely could be a linchpin for them. It hasn't necessarily been a great year for him in his first year with the Timberwolves, but I think he could definitely be a linchpin in bringing that kind of like second big style of play. And obviously, if he's shooting from the outside, that just creates a whole another batch of nightmares. So I don't know. This is definitely the series.
I also think their bench is actually a lot better than the Lakers, in my opinion. I think they have some great players. They have Naz Reid, obviously, who's great. They have Dante DiVincenzo, who's great. Rob Dillingham. They have a lot of players. Bones Highland. They have a very deep bench versus the Lakers, who kind of probably run 7-8 deep, not as deep as other teams. So it should be interesting to see.
Yeah, I think JJ will have the boys ready. The Lakers have had great energy this year before the Luka trade. Maybe some dip in the dog days of the NBA season, but Lakers postseason basketball, nothing like it. I'm excited to see the playoff atmosphere. Oklahoma City, LA times 2, Denver. It's going to be great. I think the Western Conference, like you said, it's been great for a number of years. It's been definitely better than the East in recent history. There are some decent matchups over there that we can hit now, but premier series, depending on how the play-ins go, obviously, I'd love to see Steph in there, but premier series of the West, definitely Lakers and Minnesota. The East is going to be a lot quicker. There is much less to talk about out East. The teams with the bye, Cleveland and Boston, I think both are capable of making it to the NBA Finals and winning the NBA Finals. Cleveland, I still have on fraud watch. It's been the same story for a number of years. I think this year they definitely have been better in the past, but they've been right up there, a top 3 or 4 seed in the East the last few years with a lot of momentum heading into the playoffs, and they've come up short. The lights were too bright for them. That is an all-time quote graphic that I can't get out of my head as we're heading into playoff season. But Cavs have the number 1 seed. Celtics, defending champions, still fantastic. A team that I'm curious about, the Knicks and Detroit series. Detroit's gotten a lot of hype. They're breaking a playoff drought this year, I believe. And the Knicks, a team that has had a ton of hype in recent years. They have Cat. That started out. The Knicks looked like they won the Julius Randle, Karl Anthony Towns trade early in the year with how Cat was playing. He had bought into kind of the Knicks culture of the hustle and grind and playing all these minutes, but haven't heard much about them in months. Jalen Brunson definitely been quieter this year. So Knicks, Detroit, I don't know who I'd say I want to win in practically any of these series, but that one. And then Indianapolis, Milwaukee, I don't know why. I've been seeing some Giannis clips lately. Watch out for Milwaukee. I think they're kind of my sleeper team out east to maybe make a little bit of a run. I think I could very easily convince myself for Milwaukee upsetting Cleveland in the 2nd or 3rd round or something. But what do you think of the Knicks and Pistons series?
Knicks Pistons, I think, is going to be a really underrated series. The Knicks, they did not do very well this year against top Eastern Conference or Western Conference teams. I think they went 0-11 against the top 3 records in the NBA. Very bad performance. I actually have the Pistons to upset the Knicks, surprisingly enough, in this round. I think it's going to be good basketball. I think Cade Cunningham is very good. If he wasn't in Detroit, I think he'd be a much bigger star. But unfortunately, he is. So I will say that Pistons, I think, are going to upset the Knicks, but should be a 6-7 game series as well. I just don't think I think if the Knicks do win, this is the only round they'll win. But other than that, don't really have much on that series. Pacers Bucks, I call this the no defense series. I think this series is primed to be on NBA TV for the entire playoffs. I know Damian Lillard could be missing some games, obviously with his blood clot issue. That's an issue right now. But I as well have seen some Giannis videos of him talking crap to other players, getting involved in it, trying to mess around. Giannis is still Giannis. He's still a great player. The Bucks are a good team. They have Brook Lopez. But I think the Pacers just score a crap ton of points. I know they don't play the best defense, but they score a bunch of points. They're a good team. They gave a lot of teams fits last year. Should be a good series. I think the Pacers do pull out that one. And then when it comes to the play-in teams and the top seeds, like I said, I think it's going to be the Cavs versus the Magic, and I think it's going to be the Celtics versus the Hawks. I think the Hawks win the first game, Magic win the second game of the play-in for the Eastern Conference. The Magic are a sneaky team. I think they will be a good warm-up for the Cavs. I still think the Cavs should win in 5. And the Celtics-Hawks, Trey usually has 1 or 2 games of playoff series. We'll hook him in. He'll play spoiler, but I still think it's the Celtics. I think it's, from my opinion, I'd be very shocked if it wasn't Cavs Celtics in the Eastern Conference Finals versus the West. I'm not really sure how it'll shake up. I think the West, a lot more could happen. But if I were to guess, I think it's going to be Cavs Celtics. And I think for the Cavs, I've rode them a lot harder, I felt like, than you have this season. You've been more on fraud watch. You've been more on fraud watch. I've been pretty pro Cavs. I think Mobley's great. Donovan Mitchell's great. I think they have a great team. And to be the best, you have to beat the best. And they're the defending champs. I have a feeling that will be the series, Cavs Celtics in the Eastern Conference. But other than that, a lot of good basketball on that side. I think they have a lot of stars. I just don't think the media is as tied into that, because I think it's I feel like when you have young teams like the Cavs and the Thunder and the Rockets be 1, 2 seeds, they don't get the respect, because very rarely do they end up in the finals. I think that just the young teams get out-vet. Obviously, you can think of the younger OKC teams with Russ and KD and Harden. That was a young team that kind of went very far. But other than that, most young teams flame out either early or in the middle of the playoffs. And I think the NBA is just just like any league, they're so stereotypical. Just they want the big market teams, especially in the NBA. The NBA doesn't want to see Oklahoma City versus Cleveland in the finals. Adam Silver, as much as he'll say that's good basketball, he doesn't want to see that. So, which is unfortunate, because I think the Cavs and OKC are both very, very good teams. But that's where my kind of viewpoints are in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, it makes a ton of sense. If you're interested in rock fights, or I guess a non-defensive game, It's going to be a tough series for Detroit and the Knicks. So definitely some probably lower scoring games there, and probably not a lot of defense in the Pacers and Bucks series. Shout out, I believe the Twitter name is Brett Usher, a reporter for the NBA. NBA coverage is horrible. It has been for years at this point. House of Highlights, Bleacher Report, wherever you currently get your NBA news, highlights, or did in the last 5+ years, it's declined into nothing but clickbait, LeBron, and just spam practically. This guy on Twitter, Brett Usher, he posts like actual highlights. There was like a Kawhi Leonard defensive montage throughout the years. It was amazing. Like actual basketball, like this is cool stuff. Highlights from the Rockets that I haven't seen all year because the league refuses to cover it on a national scale. So hopefully we see some people like that coming back in to cover the game as well. So that was kind of my right side. I didn't save it for the end, but very excited for playoff basketball nonetheless.
Any crazy predictions?
I'm sticking with Milwaukee. If Dame comes back, I don't know his prognosis at the moment, but Cleveland, I still don't trust. Boston, I don't think is going to go back-to-back. The West is obviously way tougher. My hot takes are Milwaukee and I think Golden State out of the West.
Okay. Golden State to win it, to get to all the way?
Not necessarily the final, but my hot takes are they're going to make a run in Milwaukee's.
Okay. Oh, okay. I was going to say, what a crazy playoff run for
Jake
both
would have
teams.
been juiced up.
Yeah, Jake would have been juiced. He's going to be so excited when this comes out. But yeah, NBA preview, exciting. Next week, obviously, we're going to obviously touch on the games that happen over the weekend, game ones, game twos. But next week, obviously, a big week for both of us, along with 28 other teams. Or I'm sorry, 28, 32? How many in the NFL?
32 teams are in the NFL? Yeah.
30 team, us plus 30 next week will obviously be a big draft week, playoff week, and whatever else goes on the weekend. But switching the football, not the NFL, although next week will be a big NFL mock draft time. Very excited to talk about that. Kind of snuck up on us. I didn't really realize till last week that it's 2 weeks away. Kind of just been seeing stuff on Twitter and I like it or I talk about it, but really hasn't been the forefront. But draft coming back soon means football's coming back. Shout out to the Buckeyes. They were at the White House today, tone deaf. Or maybe wrong side. JD Vance dropped the trophy. Will Howard, he's going to be very, very rich per Trump.
Very rich.
Jeremiah Smith is the best player ever. And Travion, he said his name wrong, so apologize to Travion Henderson. But in the aspect of football, especially college football, not the Buckeyes, but a team the Buckeyes knocked out this year, the Tennessee Volunteers, in my opinion, were the story of the weekend outside of the Masters, along with potentially the biggest story in the next couple years of college sports. The first official college holdout due to NIL money, truly remarkable. Nico IamLeaving from Tennessee, the starting quarterback, decided Thursday night that he was going to potentially sit out. He wanted more money in his NIL deal. Wanted to go from $2.5 million to $4 million. Friday morning, we wake up. He's holding out. He wasn't going to be at practice. Next thing you know, it's Saturday, the day of their spring game. He's entering the transfer portal. He's now officially in the portal. College football world has been rocked. I'll let you start your thoughts. I have a couple, but massive news coming out of college football, massive news coming out in NIL. What a world we're living in now. College holdouts. What are your thoughts?
Tennessee won this deal. People talk, players should get paid. We've been saying that for a long time. We've talked about kind of how the transfer portal ends up being good. Jani Broom ends up at Auburn. Cam Ward is able to transfer to a larger and larger program and is now looking like he may be the number one pick in the NFL draft. There are tons of ways where the transfer portal and NIL should work and are good for the players and should be happening. This is probably the far and away opposite end of that spectrum. Nico IamLeaving was the number one recruit in his class, goes to Tennessee, was chasing the money his entire recruitment, is what I had been reading. He ended up picking the place that offered him the most money. His father is his agent. And the way this was explained in some of the things I was reading is, yes, you want your family looking out for you. In theory, you trust your family more than a random agent to take care of you, not take advantage of you, all that good stuff. But another point that was raised is other agents, big name agents, as as that is becoming bigger in college football for players to even have agents at all in college football, agents represent multiple clients. And that means that they have to engage with these teams in good faith. They can't just tank their reputation, tank their entire relationship with a school, a team, a program, etc., just for one player. And seemingly that's what Nico's dad has done. He had been chasing the money the entire recruitment, asks for more money, not just in the last week, not just in the last couple weeks since spring ball has started. In December, as they were preparing for a playoff game, going to Ohio State down after that fateful day in late November. But Nico, and I read many other players on Tennessee, were trying to negotiate more money at that point. So the thought process there was they're playing more playoff games, one more playoff game, barely even one playoff game if you include the fact that it was 21-0 in the first quarter. So I don't know who is telling this kid that he is in a position to be asking for $1.5 million more dollars. I'll give the quick stats and then kick it back over to you. But Nico last season threw for 19 touchdowns, 11 of which came versus Chattanooga, UTEP, and Vanderbilt. 4 of the 9 he threw in SEC play at all were against Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt did have a couple sneaky wins last year, but let's be honest here, he wasn't going toe-to-toe with Georgia and Alabama. Still Vanderbilt. He didn't have a great game against the Buckeyes in the playoffs, where obviously you want to be competing against the top teams. If you're going to pay a guy $4 million, you want to at least believe that you have semifinal aspirations at the bare minimum, if not finals aspirations. So it seems like a case where he wasn't doing great. So I think Tennessee may be even happy that he's out and they have a chance to kind of shake things up a little earlier. They weren't really able to recruit properly since he was going to transfer. He wasn't going to transfer. No big recruits were probably going to come there with him currently having the starting role. And he should be a starter somewhere, but with the way he wasn't able to kind of back it up with his play and then to walk back in like this, the first holdout we have seen based on little to no stats. If somehow Will Howard had another year of eligibility, is like, I'm a national champion, I want more money, completely different story. We saw it with Kyle McCord last year. He wanted more money after really not competing for much, and the Buckeyes said, see ya. So I think this is malpractice by Nico's dad. This is a horrible decision by Nico. It is the worst version of the transfer portal and NIL. See ya never. I wish poorly on the rest of his career. I think he sacrificed being at a good program with a good coach in Heupel that now he's, I believe, a junior at the moment. I don't know his redshirt status, but he's going to be draft eligible next year. He's going to be draft eligible at the end of this season. So now he has to go who knows where to learn the offense of who knows what with who knows what weapons. Meanwhile, he's leaving a premier SEC program. So I think it's horrible. I think it's hopefully going to result in positive changes for the game. Because again, I like NIL. The transfer portal makes a ton of sense for a number of reasons. But between the calendar, the lack of guidelines here, the fact that he's just able to do this, I don't know what the answer is. But this is the worst version of NIL in the transfer portal.
That last sentence is exactly what this is. The worst part of NIL. And, you know, I try to find that fine line because coaches leave all the time. You know, you should have the right to leave all the time. But it's very rare coaches are leaving for more money, in my opinion. Obviously, you're getting more money. If you're at a bigger job, you're going to get more money because it's a bigger school, it's a bigger name. But no one's leaving for the more money. You're going from an OC at Georgia to be the head coach of Oregon, for example, if you're Dan Lanning. That's a big opportunity. Obviously, Oregon has not been as successful as Georgia in the past 10 years. Doesn't matter. You're the head coach. You have the Nike NIL. You have Nike in your back pocket. There's certain things that are going to be there. You're going for the brand. You're going for the team, stuff like that. If it's true that he really did reach out about all this NIL stuff before that playoff game, shame on him. Shame on him for not winning the SEC, not doing any of that, coming in there saying, I deserve more, and then putting out a performance like that. I think you said it very well about the dad. Obviously, agents not want to burn bridges, but the dad is his agent. It's a big mistake, I think. And you're starting to see players, people, agents, coaches see some regret in NIL. I saw a story today and yesterday. A former Ohio State defensive end, Omari Abor, transferred to SMU before the 2024 season. He posted on his story just this week, I think it may have been last night on TikTok, I never should have listened to my agent. I never should have gone for NIL. I should have stayed at Ohio State. Now openly campaigning for Ohio State to high schoolers. I saw a post that a high schooler said, Ohio State visit this weekend, can't wait. Quoting their tweet, you're going to love it. It's the best place in the world. People regretting their NIL decision. People regretting their moves. You're seeing that. And from my opinion, it comes down to a couple of things. Number one, at the bottom line, like all of these issues, the NCAA is at fault. They went from nothing to millions of dollars and Ferraris and Porsches with no regulation, no rules. They're idiots, continue to mess up the sport. The NCAA has ruined the sport as we know it. They didn't set any guidelines. NIL was built for me to buy a Reggie Bush jersey when I was 5, me to buy Reggie Bush t-shirt, me to buy USC gear with his name on, not for Reggie Bush to get a Porsche, not for Reggie Bush to get $5 million from LA community, that's not what NIL was built for. Not for Terrell Pryor and all those guys. They just wanted a tattoo. They didn't want to buy the entire city of Columbus. They wanted small things. That's what NIL was built for. T-shirts, TV, video games, jerseys. That's it. That's what NIL is. That's name, image, and likeness. But now, with no rules, with no regulations, it's created these issues. It's created contract disputes. It's created people either not having the money. I know there was a kid from Florida who committed. They couldn't pay his first paycheck, so then he transferred to Arizona State. Now he's somewhere else. You're seeing that. There's no guarantees on any of these contracts. It's just here's some money. Contracts are really going to be written, and that's a big issue. I think the NCAA is now 3-4 years behind on this. There's no guidelines. They have to step in. As much as obviously Ohio State people keep saying, the delusional people have moved on, obviously, like, oh, here comes the hammer from Michigan. Here comes the hammer. Let's focus on this NIL stuff. Let's try to figure out this versus something that you're not going to give Michigan a result for 3 more years. Let's focus on something that's current day. How can we fix this? Money rules, maybe the TV revenue sharing that's going to start in a couple years. Maybe that fixes it, but that's something else. The second thing I'll say, the brand to some players doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. I believe that Ohio State has great NIL. I do. That 20 million number or whatever the number people kept raising as Ohio State kept winning, that may not have even been true. We don't even know if it was 20 million. But that number that Ohio State paid in 5 years, people are going to say, how did they win a title with $20 million? They're going to say it. They will say that in just 5 years, which is crazy to think about. 5 years from now, they're going to say, how did they win it only spending $20 million? How did they do it? It's going to be mind-blowing. And I watched the spring game this weekend, and I see every wide receiver is good, man. Ohio State, I know obviously a wide receiver you, but Ohio State is recruiting the shit out of every position. And I see this, and I'm like, these kids, Mylan Graham, Quincy Porter, they don't care about the money. They know they're going to be a first rounder. They know they're going to at least have a chance of being a first rounder, being at Ohio State. And you see that, okay, maybe it's good. There's still some kids that care about that. Because those guys would be wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2s at a ton of schools. And I wish that more kids cared about the development versus the bag. And it sucks. And I think, I don't know if this is a good or bad thing. The last thing I'll say about college football and just college sports in general, I'm very happy to see ex-athletes from the schools coming back, being either GMs or assistant GMs for the schools. Andrew Luck, he's the general manager of Stanford. This morning, Max Crosby just signs on to be the assistant general manager of Eastern Washington. I know not a major school, but still helping his alma mater. Terrence Mann, he's going to be the assistant general manager for Florida State basketball. Obviously, Ohio State has Mark Pantoni for Ohio State, but those guys are going to be so lucrative. In my opinion, if you have the chance to talk to Andrew Luck and say, look, this is Stanford. You're going to get a Stanford degree. You're going to make some good money. You might not make the most at Alabama or Ohio State, but you're going to be at Stanford and I can teach you how to win. To me, personal opinion, I would take that with a lot more to heart. That Andrew Luck believes in me. Stanford's prince, Stanford's king, the number 1 overall pick, the best prospect since Manning. To me, that's more important than going to Ole Miss to play quarterback where they haven't had one since Eli.
Yeah.
So, to me, I think the players coming back, helping these programs are big, but there needs to be change. We're starting to see the NCAA college football building blocks crumble, and I get very nervous about it.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. It's on the NCAA. There's been me, you, Joel Klatt, every dumbass with a microphone has given their top 10 things to change about NIL and the transfer portal. And most of them are not the craziest things ever, to at least put some guardrails up while they figure out this whole thing with revenue sharing and conference realignment. And there's a lot going on. But the NCAA has never once been accused of being an efficient and fast acting organization. No. And it won't happen anytime soon. The most we can hope for, honestly, is Michigan gets the hammer at some point soon. But Nico, very disappointing. This better not become a trend. I think all likelihood points to this blowing up in his face massively, which hopefully dissuades people from doing it anymore. And honestly, whichever team pays him to push more guidelines, because just handing a kid $4 million based on pretty much nothing, his potential, he's not a recruit anymore. He's played in the SEC. He has tape. Documented. He has tape. He's documented on film being not that good. So I don't know where these kids are getting these ideas that they're worth this much money. It's from their parents, as we've seen with Nico. You got this dumbass dad in his ear. But change needs to happen. It's bad. I think college football, it adds a whole new layer to college sports in general that, again, I really like. But this is officially, now that this is really blown up, the worst possible way the NCAA could have handled it. Just saying, yes, blank checks for everyone. So bad.
Very bad. I think, and what's crazy is I think the statement that I'm about to say is crazy. I think he would have never done this, taken on a player like this in the NFL. But I really believe UNC is going to be a big player here. I really believe UNC is going to be a player. And it's crazy to say that because I don't think he would ever let someone in his locker room like that in the pros. I don't think he would. But I think he might in college. I think UCLA is going to be a player. And the people that say that Ohio State's interested just to get your clicks out, pathetic. Ryan Day would never let someone like that into his locker room. And Clay Travis, dumb as fuck for saying that Ryan Day dyes his beard when his wife called him out on it.
I didn't see that. That's actually hilarious. And shout out national championship rings given at the spring game this weekend. So that was pretty hype.
They looked awesome. I hope they do fan giveaway next year for one of the games.
That would be outstanding. College football right around the corner. We'll talk obviously more players next week as the NFL draft heats up. NBA playoffs right around the corner as well. Lake Show is back, but now we'll wrap it up and kick it to our clutch moment of the week.
Our clutch moment of the week is brought to you by Shore Metals, serving Southern California since 1970. Big enough to serve you and small enough to know you. See Stan, he'll help you out. Joey, who's your clutch moment of the week?
As I've mentioned before, I'm a baseball guy now. I've been to some Cubs games, been playing MLB The Show, and this year, living in Wrigley, the Cubs did not hold it down last year. The Cubs kind of faltered early, but now my clutch moment of the week goes out to the Cubbies. The first place in the NL Central as we're recording this. They're 11-7. They're in San Diego tonight playing the Padres, but just over the weekend beat the Dodgers in a series after losing 2 games to them over in Japan. The largest road shutout Dodgers at home, largest shutout against the Dodgers ever, beating them 16-0. The Cubs were not throwing their 3 best arms over that series, and the Dodgers had Yamamoto, Sasaki. They had some of their best arms going. So to beat them in a series, to smack the absolute hell out of the Dodgers always feels good. Baseball season is in the air. I love it. Clutch moment of the week goes out to the Cubs.
Yeah, to be honest with you, I'll give my thoughts on the Cubs series actually and outside the line because that's part of my tone deaf. But incredible weekend for the Cubbies. They're playing great ball. Their run differential best in the MLB. Their bullpen has not been even as great. Their starting pitch has not been great. They've found a way to win. They keep winning. Kyle Tucker looks as good as advertised. If I was Ricketts, I'd be giving him a blank check tomorrow, but we'll see how they handle that free agency. But the Cubs are playing great ball. Like you said, redemption for the Japan series. Awesome. Was kind of nervous you were going to take mine for clutch moment because you started talking about baseball, but glad you didn't.
No.
Clutch moment for me. he did a lot in his big league career. He's a Hall of Famer. First player to ever have their hat backwards on their Hall of Fame bust. Clutch moment of the week goes up to Ken Griffey Jr. Not for baseball though. He was able to become a credited photographer. He was in the media this weekend at the Masters. And surprisingly enough, Ken Griffey Jr.'s pictures were the ones that ESPN posted. His were the ones all over the internet. He has the great one of Rory on his knees celebrating. He has the one of Rory putting to win it. Ken Griffey was awesome. I don't know if he played because I know some people of the media get to play the Monday after. But Ken Griffey Jr., incredible pictures. Got to look at his portfolio a little this weekend when I was looking at it. I know him and Randy Johnson. Randy Johnson was not at the Masters, but both of them have really taken a liking to photography in their retirement. But very cool to see Ken Griffey there, someone with his own list of achievements, his own list of milestones, just being a regular patron, just being a regular photographer in the media. And pictures were awesome. Thought they were great. Griffey was awesome. Very cool. I thought it was a very cool moment of the Masters.
Yeah, that was awesome. I saw someone tweeted that hell of a way to back your way into the Monday media round. So if he was just doing it for the golf, he had some pretty good clicks of the camera. So shout out Ken Griffey. That I also thought that was super cool. Yeah,
very baseball themed clutch moment for Ken Griffey and the Cubbies, but lot of good stuff. Very cool. Hope the Cubs keep playing well. Ken Griffey, first of many big pictures, I believe, in his career. I with his work ethic, he'll be one of the best photographers I know it. But now we're going to kick it to outside the line.
All right, let's wrap it up. Outside the line, starting out with the world famous Tone Deaf Person of the Week. Michael, what do we got?
Tone Deaf Person of the Week, the MLB, for however many times it's been this season. Maybe we'll have to have an MLB Tone Deaf tracker. Obviously, Joey mentioned it in Clutch Moment of the Week. I didn't really dive into it much, but the Cubs did crush the Dodgers this weekend. 16-0 on Saturday. Incredible game. Cubs bats were hot. Pete Crow Armstrong was awesome this weekend for them. Unfortunate news about Justin Steele, obviously, the injury. But Tone Deaf, MLB, 16-0. I went on their Twitter that day on the MLB account. 5 posts for the Cubs, 5 posts for the Dodgers. Pathetic that they even were able to put out 5 highlights for the Dodgers. On the MLB at Bat app, first highlight, Shohei leadoff single, not any of the runs the Cubs scored. Then, just 2 weeks ago on opening day, when the Angels had a position player pitching, it was memed all over. Mm-hmm. This time, it's funny that a position player pitcher is pitching and imitating the guys on the team because it's just stupid. Like, why is that funny? That's not cool. Like, that's not growing the game. Who cares? Like, pathetic. It's so biased now where it's getting to the point where not only is it the Dodgers Cubs, that was just the cherry on top this weekend, but like Shohei hits a base hit, it's all caps. Shohei Ohtani double to take the lead versus that same game, Dylan Cruz to walk a go-ahead hit. It's all lowercase, no post about it, just a post after the game. Just pathetic. Like I said, every league wants their stars to be in the playoff and then playing there. But for a sport that has trouble growing the game in general, I understand they're taking advantage of the entire Team Japan on the Dodgers. They have to find ways to grow it in other teams. There's a lot of good young stars. James Wood, for example, gets like 1 tweet the whole weekend against the Dodgers last weekend. Meanwhile, the Nationals won the series. The Dodgers got 10 highlights. Just pathetic. I mean, turn off the caps. Tweet like everybody else. Don't be surprised when other teams win. That's baseball. Just MLB media, terrible.
Yeah, really bad. I saw a lot about that. I think the Nationals even tweeted at MLB like where the all caps go. It's getting to the point where it's like worse than the NBA. If an alien got dropped into our planet and you were trying to just catch them up on sports news based on ESPN, they'd think LeBron was the only player in the league. Right. It's looking like the same way for baseball with Shohei and the Dodgers. It's disgusting. It truly like brings the glazing to a whole new level. Like it's like you can't even pretend that this is like normal or sly or anything. Like it's Dodgers and then everybody else. So my tone deaf is also baseball related. This baseball, more baseball, I guess. Baseball having problems with marketing and everything. A big conversation with that is obviously kind of like the old heads versus some new school fans. people have talked about it. Football is a TV game. Like being in the stadium is obviously great. But football, you got the lines on the TV. You got the best angle on the TV. Baseball, complete opposite. Baseball is an in-person game. The vibe of the ballpark, the smell of the hot dogs, the vendors yelling for beer, it is all the best. And in my opinion, maybe I'm tone deaf, that's not the time to necessarily be your most locked in, like care about every small little thing ever. Home crowds do dumb things. You get the wave going, you get them cheering for certain things. I was at the Cub game last week, and my tone deaf moment of the week goes out to this guy who was sitting behind me. Cheap tickets day of. We were basically in like the part of the Rangers family section, so you don't really know who you're talking to. We're chirping, we're chopping it up with the people in front of us. They all got dope World Series stuff on from the Rangers, and then there's this guy behind us. He's yelling the craziest things at the most random times. So the Rangers pitcher like throws to first to try and pick off a runner at first base. Everybody boos him because, it's the away pitcher doing that. You're a home crowd. You're going to boo that guy. He starts yelling like, your pitcher would do the same thing. You guys are all idiots. I don't know what you're doing. Just yelling, angry, like not even trying to be like an away fan versus a home fan. Like
he was a Ranger
angry.
fan?
He was yelling all this stuff in favor of the Rangers, but was wearing pretty neutral colors. He does that. They intentionally walk Kyle Tucker late in the game. We all boo that because you see a guy who is tied for the lead in home runs in the MLB. You want to see him hit. You want to see him. There's a couple other runners on base. The desired result of the home crowd, he hits a 3-run shot to break the game open. It was a great game. It ended up being 10-6. The game that I went to, very back and forth. Everyone's booing that, and he's like, oh, everyone in the stadium's dumb. You have the IQs of donkeys. Why are you booing another runner on base? Like, oh, like mad, like actually mad, like stuff like that where, yeah, obviously it's good to have another runner on base. Like that's how the game works. But the whole home crowd, it's you versus 25,000 other people. And like, you're the one ending up upset. So like that sort of, I'm going to call it old head baseball fan where like you aren't even allowed to have fun at a game. I'm not going to generalize this guy to the rest of that stuff, but we're like, me and my cousin were sitting there. He's like, we're looking at him, the other Rangers fans in the area. So, I mean, it could have been just a completely random person there, but the Rangers fans were looking at him, even though he's cheering with them. Like I was about to turn around and say like, are you this miserable in your day-to-day life? Because it was actually just like the most nonsensical anger that I've ever seen in my life. So I don't know what was going on with that, but we were kind of like making fun of him, like booing like random things after that point. Like he was not happy. Cubs broke it open late. But tone deaf that guy. He sucks. That was the worst.
Very weird. Never heard anybody like that. Been to a lot of games. Like you always have the guys that like are cheering for the opposing team, but like, just have like, but like the booing, like first base or the pickoff or the walk, like you just got to do it. Like we're part of a society. You just got to do it. Like
it's the away team. Like, yeah, the home crowd's going to boo the away team.
I'm not like the one to like boo every time he picks off. Like I don't care if they pick off, but like I get it. Like the away team, you do it. Like I get it. Like it's part of the game. It's part of the fan environment. Like everyone working together to like get in this guy's head. Boo. Like I get it. But
there were two close challenges where there was like someone thrown out at second for the Rangers and then someone thrown out at third for the Cubs, like back to back. And he was wrong on both of them. He was yelling during they were taking long. He was like, it's clearly not definitive if you're still looking at the replay. Just start the game. The call has to stand. And he was just freaking out. He was wrong on both of them. And we were dying. Like just actually the shittiest human being that I've ever sat in the same area with. Like, oh, it was bad.
Interesting. That's very tone deaf. Cause like, there's just like, you just got to be doing that. Like, I don't know, pretty stupid. Like, that's so stupid. Very stupid, very dumb, very tone deaf. Just boo. I don't even know who he's cheering for, but just be a part of society. Like, just do it. Yeah. Be a part of society. Fun. Don't be a jackass. Like, very dumb. Very, very dumb in my opinion. I don't even know if that's like old head. That's just like hate your life, maybe. Like, I don't even know if that's like old head.
That's what it was. It wasn't even like, oh, like this guy has a better, like a good slugging percentage and a bad on base percentage. So we're walking. Like it wasn't even like trying to be smart. Yeah. He was just yelling at the sky.
Very strange, very tone deaf. I did see in my notes, I did have another tone deaf. We don't have to get into it, but tone deaf, the Suns fired their coach again. 3 straight years, 3 straight coaches fired. Not even in the playoffs. Don't have a pick in the lottery. Maybe it's you guys. Maybe it's KD.
Maybe it's you.
Maybe it's Booker. So my thought process on small tone deaf. But wrapping it up though, wrong side, right side. What do you got?
My wrong side, a Chicago staple, Portillo's. For those California listeners and elsewhere that have not had the pleasure of being there, get there fast.
We have a Portillo's in California.
It's not a real one. I've been to Portillo's in Iowa. It does. I think there's a Portillo's by Cub Spring Training down in Arizona too. Even the one in Iowa right across the river, it does not count. But Portillo's just sold out to like a private equity, like venture capital firm. I don't know what the ownership situation was before that, but now they are test running a breakfast menu. Hopefully that ends up being really good, but it is completely out of left field. It is not the hot dog and beef stand that I've come to know and love, and I fear that the VC getting involved in Portillo's they're just one step away from my back door, and that makes me very, very sad. So wrong side. That was my wrong side.
That is a sad wrong side if you're an old head Portillo's fan. If you're an old head, you don't like change.
Yeah.
So very good wrong side. Right side?
Right side, WNBA draft in progress as we're recording this. Paige Beckers to Dallas, and Haley Van Lith getting back with her LSU teammate Angel Reese. Haley Van Lith is a Chicago Sky. We needed some good guard play. The Fantasy League will be back active. I'm making that statement now without having talked to anybody who was previously in the league, but the WNBA Dynasty League will be back. Haley Van Lith is adding to the Chicago Sky, and who knows? They kind of got a little squad there now.
Yeah, they do have a good team. The young team's going. The drafts are ridiculous. I was talking about in our group chat that, like Washington had 3 picks in the first 7.
Oh, insane.
Chicago had 2 picks. Connecticut had 2 picks. Like
Chicago had 2 picks last year too.
Somehow Vegas, the team who's like, or I'm not Vegas, Golden State, the Valkyrie, who like is a new team. They only had 1 first round pick. You'd think they had more than 1. But yeah, HVL going to Chicago. Dominique Malonga from France. Apparently the woman Wemby. I saw some highlights of her.
Crazy take, but okay.
6'6".
6'6" is crazy.
I saw some highlights. The woman Wemby. Looking at the rest of the draft, looks like only 1 Buckeye in the 3rd round. Taylor Thierry to Atlanta. So a Buckeye gets drafted. 2 players from France, actually, the last pick of the draft. So very interesting, but Paige Buckets does fulfill the dream, being number 1. I think she's the 6th. I saw maybe on CBS. Let me confirm that, but I'm pretty sure she's the 6th player ever to win a national title and be the first overall pick. Surprisingly enough, 5 of the 6 were from UConn. Paige Buckets, Breanna Stewart, Tina Charles, Candace Parker, Diana Taurasi, and Sue Bird. So congratulations to Paige Buckets. Another great face for the league. Dallas gets their star. Like I said, everyone likes stars in different cities. Good for them. Happy for them. The league will be back. You're absolutely right. Good for the league. For me, to wrap it up, wrong side, Angels lose their first series of the season. Tough one against Houston. Very sad, but still atop the AL West. Big series with Texas coming up. The Rangers starting tomorrow, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Angels got a lot of momentum going. If they can get back, win this series, come back to Anaheim, that'd be huge. So really hope they keep playing well, because I am going to see them the first week of June when I move to Boston. They'll be at Fenway, so I really hope they're still somewhat in contention by then to at least make it worth it. Right side, though, NFL draft next week. My suggestion, Cowboys, take a Buckeye every round. You won't regret it. Also, right side, going to game 1 of the Lakers game for the playoffs. I'm very excited. My dad and I bought tickets. We're taking my grandpa on Saturday. It's going to be fun. He was really excited. We told him, do you want to go? He was like, yeah, I'd love to go. Let's go. I was making fun. This weekend was Passover. I don't know if that's a wrong or right side, but this weekend was Passover. So we were talking at Passover about the game. I was like, oh, what are you going to wear? What jerseys? Like, I don't know if I have a jersey anymore. Like, I might have a Magic one somewhere in my closet. I was like, oh, I got a bunch. Like, who do you want? He's like, who do you have? And I was like, oh, I got Reeves. I got Rui. I got Luka. He's like, you got Luka already?
You have a Rui jersey?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's disgusting. That's bad.
He's like, you have Luka already? I was like, oh, it's DHgate. Don't worry. He's like, oh, okay. He's like, I don't even know what that is, but he's like, is that real? I was like, no.
Are the tariffs affecting DHgate?
Get them in now. Get the DHgate in now. Get the DHgate in now. Yeah, it's for DHgate, but get them in now. My family and I did a big order. I got some new Buckeye ones. I got Luka won. My brother got a new Seahawks one. Like we did one more loop of everything just in case of the tariff. So get your non-tariff DH gate in now. But Lakers game this weekend should be awesome. Excited. Gonna be fun. Very fun weekend coming up.
There we go.
Very cool. But another great week. NFL draft next week. We will see. Will Ashton Genty be a Cowboy? Maybe a Bear? Maybe a Marion Hampton? Will be either or. Will they take us? Will the Bears finally keep building the line? Will they take a weapon? We will see.
Please.
Trenches, please. Will the Cowboys just take 7 Buckeyes? Like I said, I think they would be better off. I think Travion Henderson's stock is rising. I hope he can rise to the second round of the Cowboys. Would love to get a Buckeye. If anything, if the Cowboys got no Buckeyes except for Ransom, I'd be just as ecstatic. Would have to get a jersey. So excited to break down draft coverage next week to get our Joel Klatt on, Colin Coward, Todd McShay, Mel Kiper. Can't wait to do all that with you guys. But thank you guys for listening. Another great episode. Have a good Wednesday.
Stay blessed.